Hi there, you're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in my studio because it's a little wet and cold outside, and we're going to talk about our moon gardening tasks for the next couple of weeks. As you all know, I have been following the moon in my personal life for quite some time, but I have tried to implement gardening by the moon over the last 2 years. So every other week, I give you a moon gardening update, and it's quick and easy to follow. I will link the chart that I use below. It's super simple. It just has like a little spinny thing that allows you to quickly and easily see what the tasks are, and then it's up to you to discern what can actually be done in the garden. As we enter fall, winter, and spring, for me, it becomes the most challenging time to garden by the moon, which is pretty much the whole year, right? Like summertime's great, and the rest of the time, it's super hard. And that is because we live in a very rainy climate. So while the calendar may say, or the moon may say, that it's time to go plant something or prune something or fertilize something, the weather may not be cooperating. And so sometimes there's certain garden tasks that really do need to be done, and I have to do them out of sequence with the moon when the weather breaks and allows me to get out in the garden. Obviously, you can garden any way that you like. I just find that doing things according to the moon does two things for me. One, it gives me structure, and it lowers the amount of overwhelm that I have when I can't decide, should I prune this? I need to prune something. I need to plant something. I need to start some seeds. I need to do all these things in the garden. What do I do today? I go back to the moon and I see what she says is a good time to do today. And then it's like, okay, great. Thanks for giving me some guidance. I think I'll do that today. The other thing that it has done, and there's been many studies, you could look them up, on gardening by the moon, and it has been proven that when you plant things according to the moon cycle, you harvest things according to the moon cycle, you prune according to the harvest cycle, you have better success with your garden and your plants. So this week we're coming into a full moon in just a few days. It is a full moon in Aries. Aries is a full moon in Aries really amplifies you and I should say it really empowers you to follow and get really clear and step onto your life mission's path. What does that mean in the garden? Well, to me, as I go into fall, I start dreaming about and designing how I'm going to go into my next gardening season, because now is the time I'm planting my bulbs. I'm starting to order my seeds. I'm starting to think about what kind of annuals I'm going to plant in my garden. And I do that through the winter. It's a nice slow progress for me now that my garden is established. If I was beginning a new garden, this is the time when I would be like planting some structures, some trees, and some shrubs, because fall is an amazing time to get your plants in the ground. And so I would be really focusing this week on, what is the mission of this garden? What am I trying to accomplish? What is the feeling I want to have in this garden? Am I planning on having people here? Is it going to be just a special sacred place just for me or my immediate family? Is it going to be a big gathering space? These are the kinds of questions that I would be having and then taking action on under this coming full moon. As far as garden tasks go, this full moon and all full moons are really about planting flowering plants. So things that fruit, whether it's a ornamental or if it's a vegetable or a fruit. this is the time that you want to plant those types of plants. So something that's going to flower. Maybe it's something that will flower soon. Maybe it's something that's going to flower in the spring. So like I said, the fall is an amazing time to be planting your shrubs, perennials, and fruit trees, or all trees. But you might want to consider, since it's the fruiting aspect this full moon, is planting your apples and your pears and all of those types of plants that you might want to plant, or trees that you might want to plant. You might consider planting out blueberries. Those are shrubs. What other, like maybe you want to plant out some vining crops, like currants or huckleberry. Maybe that's not a vining crop, but I'm just thinking of like shrubby kind of berry shrubs. Or you might want to be planting out like your hydrangeas or something beautiful like that. Now's a great time not only to get those in the ground, but to get some really great discounts, because the nurseries are getting ready to close for winter, and they are trying to get their plants into homes and into the ground somewhere. So oftentimes you could pick up some pretty straggly looking plants at a really great discount, get them in the ground, and you'll have a beautiful plant in the spring. So I highly encourage you to do that if you're up for it. And this is also coming into the weekend after the full moon, following immediately after the full moon in the next weekend is a great time to plant your root crops that you'll want to grow. For us, I'm in Oregon, in the United States, so we're going into our winter. So winter root crops look like beets, carrots, radish, carrots especially. Carrots are a wonderful root crop in the winter because you sow them now, and then in like January, February, March, you could start harvesting them, and they're extra sweet because they got a really cold. The cold brings the sweetness out in a carrot, which is something to note if you can grow carrots in your climate. My carrots tend to rot, so I do not grow carrots over winter. I grow them only in the spring because we have so much rain. What else do I want to say? Oh, and then next week, right? So this week we're focusing on flowering plants, and then we're going to focus on root crops on the weekend, and then the following week we really want to focus on pruning, because as the full moon wanes into the new moon, the sap in the trees are slowing way down, and this is an excellent time to prune your trees because the sap isn't flowing, right? And the sap is like the blood and water of the tree. So if it's flowing really strongly, it could lose a lot of sap, and it could cause a little bit of shock to your shrub or tree. In the fall, I love to do pruning. Now, winter pruning is definitely advantageous to certain shrubs and trees, especially your fruiting trees. But I really like to prune in the fall because with the heavy rains, and for many of you, heavy snow causes boughs of trees to get weighed down and crack and break. And sometimes you can really clearly see this particular bough is like so much further away from the tree than all the other ones. It doesn't have the support structure that the other boughs might have, and this is a great time next week to go ahead and either cut it back or cut it off so that it saves the rest of the tree, right? Same with your shrubs. Shrubs tend to like splay out with the weight of the weather, and so this is a good time to either head them back or cut them down. Whatever your shrub or tree needs, appropriate pruning for the appropriate plant, right? But yeah, this is a great time to go ahead and prune after the full moon. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it, and then we'll meet back here in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about what we do in the garden underneath the new moon. I hope this this was informative. I hope that you are celebrating your life, and I will see you in the next video.